Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sara Vantine here with Ted Ings. We have an exciting group of people here today, and Anthony Monteiro has assembled some of the best in automotive and some really cutting edge companies that are up and coming. So, Anthony, I'm going to kick it to you. Who do we have on our panel today?
Well, super excited to be here, Ted and Sara, again. I've put together what I think is four really, really cool companies that are targeting how to acquire vehicles out of the service lane or out of your dealership that would turn into a significant amount of repair order dollars, whether it's internals or customer pay. But we're doing it a little bit differently, and each one of these companies do it really, really unique, and it's super exciting to see what they're doing. So I've got Mark Queen, which a lot of you probably know. I've seen him on Fixed Ops Roundtable before. SKAIVISION, man, what a cool company that is. Mark and I worked together, as many know, at eLead for many years. So we've spent a lot of days in dealerships trying to figure out what they need to help their business improve. I also have with me Chris Ross. Chris has built a company that literally can tell a dealer what the instant cash offer is in the market on a specific vehicle, all the way down to the trim. So mileage and VIN, or even a plate number, and you can see numbers what Carvana is offering and all of the cash offer numbers. So it's not just an average number for a vehicle. It's truly what the cash offer is in that market. Really cool stuff. I also have Ron Morrison. Ron and I have known each other, I don't know, man, 30 years. We worked at CDK together. We worked at Traver together. We worked at eLead. And Ron's got an amazing company that identifies customers that come onto the dealer's website and tracks their behavior and puts offers in front of the customers when it's the perfect timing to attract that customer to create a lead. What he's doing now is dipping into the databases and finding the vehicles that the dealership should buy and want to buy, and created a product called Vehicle Exchange 2.0. But he'll tell you about this garage expansion, which is so cool. Not only do they know the vehicles that are coming in for service, but he knows the ones that you have in your garage and maybe your friends have in the garage, and we can start to market those acquisitions to dealers as well. And last but not least, I have Charles Lukens. This company's probably not very popular in the States yet, but they will be, trust me. They're very popular overseas. They started in Israel, and that's where they're based out of. But they actually have an app that gets sent via text message or email directly to the customer, and it walks them around their vehicle, and it takes specific angles of each vehicle with a silhouette of that exact vehicle. And if there's damage or if there's anything that's imperfect on the car, their AI will zoom in on it and create a report that the customer does themselves from their home or out in their driveway at work. And that report comes back to the dealership. So if you think about all of these folks of what they're doing, identifying the vehicles, putting the right number on the vehicles, identifying when it comes in the service lane with Mark's product. And then if they're not at the dealership, Charles's product will say, hey, here's the entire walk around of that vehicle, and it might have a dent or a ding, and the customer can't step around it because you have to take the angle before it goes to the next step. Really, really cool stuff. I'd like to let them start, or Sara, jump on in.
Yeah, this is such an exciting panel, Anthony, and I know a lot of the topics we're going to be talking about today are going to be centered around used vehicle acquisition and how recon and those repair orders and customer repair orders, all of these different pieces, how these companies all intertwine on that topic. So just to kick it off first, Mark, I'll start with you on the screen. So how can technology automate the trade-up process so that dealers don't have to rely so heavily on a separate sales process and manning the service lane for that?
Hey, Sara, thanks, and great to be here. Like a lot of things in life, we see that timing, the more data we get in the over more stores and can look at, as Anthony mentioned, we had to develop an eLead exchange tool to go with the CRM for stores that wanted to run their service drive process in the same tool they ran their sales in. And in watching that morph into today's customer, timing is critical. We see that not many people today want to be bothered with a phone call the day before their service appointment when they're coming in for service, asking do they want to buy a vehicle while they're there. A little annoying. Same with post-COVID approaching people in person in the lane or the waiting room. A little less result than maybe in previous years. So what we're seeing is that if the customer is able to become the exchange specialist themselves, or the person that's going to sell their vehicle to the dealership, a very subtle approach. We are acquiring since our system plugs into all the dealership cameras, the first camera read we get of the customer, we're able to ascertain whether that is a good trade-up criteria vehicle. And if it is, we can send a text message to the customer that's an opt-in approach, asking them if they would like to see an offer or offer range on the vehicle. And that seems to put them in a little different mindset in terms of they're in control of everything when they get that. And the timing being that the quicker, we've even seen if you take a 5-minute delay and when you send that, the repercussions downstream in terms of acquisitions are very real. You want to deliver that message to them before they get into the loaner or the rental or get situated and sucked into their phone or laptop onto something in the waiting room. But you want them to see that offer very quickly. And so we are seeing that vehicle exchange and acquisition is a process that can be automated. In the past, having the right way to diplomatically approach the customer, then having a human appraise or figure out the right number to give the vehicle, and then to get that message to the customer in the correct way is something that you can automate completely and just let the dealership have to lean in once the customer has initiated interest in the conversation.
Yeah, that's so cool to be able to use the cameras to identify the vehicle that's something that the dealership may want to purchase at the time, and then kind of turning some of it over to the customer while they're there. Ron, like you're doing something very similar with vehicle exchange, but your customers aren't necessarily right there to be able to offer that type of experience. So maybe the ones that left and didn't get the experience on Mark's side, what are you guys doing to capture that customer that might not be right there in the lane, or someone who left and maybe didn't get that experience, or even maybe another car that they might have that we don't even know about?
Yeah, that's a great point. And Mark, I have to agree that the speed today really matters because those customers are so distracted, right? They're in the service drive. They either get distracted or they get there, they get there and they already have somewhere else to go in mind, right? Like get me in the shuttle, get me home, or get me in and out. So they already have something to do once they're out of the car. So I really can appreciate that quick timing to give them the opportunity to say, yeah, this is something I want to do. And to Anthony's point, what we try to do to complement that scenario is we recognize that a vast majority of customers are either not ready, right? The majority of them are either not ready or they don't want to be, or they're unsure. And so they're moving on. And so what our technology does, it says, hey, listen, X hours after that service appointment, 48 hours, what have you, we're going to send a thank you, right? That's a sort of a normal thing that the dealership should do. And we're going to send it by way of email. And in that email, we're reminding them that we want to acquire their vehicle. And not only acquire their vehicle, but our records suggest that you are the owner of vehicle A, B, and C, right? So you came in with a Camry, but we also know that you have a BMW and a Chevy Tahoe. So we want to acquire all three of those. And what we're going to do, Anthony, is what we currently do is whatever cadence the dealer chooses, typically 90 days, every 90 days, we're going to ask to acquire that vehicle on behalf of the dealership, right? And it's going to have the original number. We offered you 26.5 90 days ago. Today, we're offering you 25.8. And let that customer really see and feel that depreciation and recognize that, hey, maybe I need to take one or more of my vehicles back to let them buy my car. But also, the opportunity to service more of those customers, to create more ROs, right? So because, Anthony, we're communicating every 90 days, not just about the car that the dealership knows about, but all of their cars, right? And so at some point, they say, hey, you know what? I really like doing business with the guy I bought my Toyota from. He says he can offer me service on my Chevy Tahoe. I'm going to bring it there instead of Jiffy Lube or what have you, right? So that creates this opportunity not only for more customer pay ROs, but also to acquire more vehicles, put more units in operation, and that sort of thing. So that's what we do to sort of complement the piece when that customer leaves the service drive and hasn't sold their vehicle or purchased another vehicle.
Listen, that's so cool, and I don't think anybody's doing that right now. I'm pretty sure no one's not, and I'm pretty sure once that grows, it's got to be exponential, right? Because it's like this is I brought my 90s tracksuit because we're talking about the 90s, but I don't know if you remember the commercial of, it was a hair product commercial, and it would be, they told two friends and they told two friends, and it just kept multiplying on the screen of the number of people that use that shampoo. That's what it reminds me of when you talk about this sharing, not only on Facebook, but expanding that garage. It's really cool. And I can see where dealers would crush it, which brings me, and I'm not to leave Charles out, but Chris, how do you give guys like Ron or even Mark, even though they might have their own formula to come up with the value of the car, what do you do that helps them get much closer to a number that the dealership wants to put on the car, not what maybe one of the books say the car is worth, but the number that dealership should buy the car for today and feel confident in that? What are you guys doing?
Hello, thanks. Thanks for the intro, and glad to be a part of the 90s throwback. I put in there, 1992 Lollapalooza tour. A lot of fun back in the day there. Hey, listen, this is a great conversation. Some of the topics that I want to touch on real quick is, first of all, the timing. I think that Mark talked about is crucial. Garage expansion, on being able to have accurate data on more customer cars that are already coming in, is critical. What I want to talk about also is price transparency, and so a little bit of all that, like accuracy, timing, and being able to really convey to a customer that, hey, we're progressive as a dealership, we're modern, and we want to participate in digital retail in a real way, and so what we do is give a higher degree of confidence for the dealer to be able to go craft their own instant offer algorithm, and we give it to them in a dashboard that we call an instant offer builder, that allows them in about 15-20 minutes to be able to create an offer on every car that's been made in the U.S. since the year 2000. So we do it based on what a customer would likely find if they went to Carvana or CarMax or something like that, or other instant offers. That's the number that's based on. Instead of being a wholesale or retail number, we call it the instant offer market number. And we work with other strategic partners, marketplaces, OEMs, banks, that really want to convey price transparency in a very accurate way. And I think that working together with this team, I think that, as a dealer now, you have so many more options to be able to really let your own customers know that you're thinking about them, that you're not going to be obtrusive, and that you're not going to go out there and try to steal their car from them, and go hit them at $5,000 under and try to rip it. The timing on it and having price transparency and getting these cars, what we found is that the most profitable transaction that you can do in the car business is buying a car from a customer off the street and turn around and wholesaling it. That's other than doing service on the cars. But I mean, if you buying a car and turn around and wholesaling it, that's the best money that you can make on a car, right? And So, and we also found that at stores, whenever I was at stores, that we messed that up a lot. You know, being able to automate this process with a little bit of AI to kind of push you in the right direction, and some really cool data, I think is going to kind of put everyone a little bit further in the right direction with these, especially with these forward-leaning dealers and customers these days.
Well, without a doubt, and Chris, one thing I do love about what you're doing is if I'm a dealer and I don't want certain vehicles, I can eliminate them. But I can also, if I want to take them in lower, I can set the price lower. But if I want to be really aggressive and go after a vehicle, I can set that number. And you know, it's pretty process heavy to do all this work. I really don't want to just try to go after every single one. So I think that's super important in the whole scheme. And then last but not least, and then I'm sure Ted and Sarah have a ton of questions to you guys. Charles, what are you guys doing to help the dealer at the end of the day? The customer says, I'm interested, buy my vehicle. I'm 4 hours away, but I'll take the $35,382 that you said you were going to give me, subject to a couple of minor things. What can you guys do to help facilitate that deal all the way to the home run?
Yeah, thank you, Anthony and Sarah and Ted for including Click-Ins. We totally agree with what everyone on the panel has highlighted, and that is that speed does matter. Equally for us, so does the accuracy and damage detection. That all plays, the speed and the damage detection all plays into the actual cash value of that vehicle. And we put the power in the hands of either the dealership, if you're going dealership to dealership with a vehicle, or as we're stating here, the consumer is ready to sell their vehicle. They have an initial offer, right, based off of what they've already told you. And then for us, you can then send them a link, and they essentially become a staff adjuster. The auto owner becomes a staff adjuster. They take eight photos, and we detect both damage that is obvious, but we also detect damage that the human eye can't see. And there's a lot of cases in that around the U.S. and as well as around the globe. So we're aiding the consumer to get as much for that vehicle as they can get, and we're aiding the dealership for them to be able to buy that vehicle at the right price. And we feel and have seen that understanding the damage down to 100% accuracy is critical in that process. And then as we've talked about data, as we continue to grow, we'll be able to provide data that shows what behaviors yield what results in the inspection of that vehicle. So that exhaust data will become very valuable to dealerships. Using synthetic data for vehicles, we can cover any vehicle today that's out there. We also have models of vehicles that haven't even hit the assembly line yet. So for the last 10 years, we've been developing this technology to help dealerships and help consumers better detect damage and get the right price for the vehicle on both sides.
Wow. Fascinating discussion, Anthony. It wasn't that many years ago when you and I were working in retail, selling vehicles that, I remember going down to the basement to pull up the old folders of customers who bought 3-4 years ago, Mark, right? Pulling those folders and realizing that if we contacted, there was a gold mine, all right, in the acquisition of those vehicles. And now, Anthony, it seems that technology is really gonna boost this and take this to a whole new level for retailers.
100%. I mean, same thing. We had a chalkboard in the service lane that we would just write, we want to buy a 1991 Ford Taurus, right? We knew that a percentage of people were coming in with Tauruses during that time. And they'd come in the showroom and say, hey, can you buy my car? So, the process has been around for a long time, probably since the 90's. And we've now taken it into this technology realm that's being fully automated all the way to the point where, I had a conversation with Chris and Ron at one point in time. At some point, we'll probably be able to acquire vehicles 100% through automation and putting the right number doing the exchange, validating the title. You know, you remember my last company, we were arrange the transportation, right? Bring it back and supply my inventory through this type of smart technology with all of these companies basically saying, hey, you need 6 more F-150s of this mileage and color. And the system just goes through and buys them all for you directly from consumers or swapping with other dealers through automation. And then Charles jumps in and says, okay, the vehicle looks good, or Mark pulls out an archive saying it was just in service a week ago. And from the last images we have, we don't see any damage or any issues or from the repair order. So super cool stuff. And then Ron's going to keep hitting them as they go and finding more vehicles that they have sitting around in the garage. So super, super cool. Excited to work with every single one of these guys. And I thought it was very relevant to Fixed Ops, because you're going to pick up, you know, internals because you got to recon all of these vehicles. You're going to pick up new customer pay because you're putting a bunch more pre-owned vehicles into your market under your dealership logo.
Well, Anthony, thank you for bringing this to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'd like to ask everybody, starting with Mark, and then I'll go over to Charles, and then Chris, and then Ron. Mark at SKAIVISION, how are we going to communicate? What is going to be the best way to communicate this now to the customer and through the dealership? Where do you see this going? How is this going to, Mark, how's this going to play out?
Yeah, the customers are gravitating more towards the text message. That's something that they use in their daily lives more than anything for immediacy. And as a couple people alluded to on this, the fact that you've got to maintain the diplomacy of the departments with they're there for service, and service people don't always like sales doing the bull in the china shop through the repair order that they're going to get paid on, obviously if the customer exchanges in most situations or sells their vehicle. However, the text help communication method helps keep too many cooks from being in the service kitchen physically at one time in a lot of ways. And it's like everyone has said, the process has been around, and dealerships have had varying degrees of success with exchange, mostly dependent on a human element. And when you look at their numbers of vehicles they've exchanged and the ups and downs, depending on who's running that process, it is a very breakable process, perhaps the most breakable process in the dealership. There's almost any dealership that we walked in the US today and asked, hey, can you really quickly look at your phone or pull up on your desktop and tell me how many opportunities you had in your showroom yesterday, how many got figures and how many bought? That's an instant answer. But if you go to them and ask, how many conversations on exchange do you have yesterday? How many vehicles did you praise and how many did you acquire? And the last week and last month and every month, it gets very squishy in terms of the answers you get. And they, often it's, well, I don't really log into this data mining tool or there, it crosses between here, and you're pulling up deals that had an internet lead last week, but they happen to be in service. It gets very murky in terms of the ROI. And that's why being able to serve that offer in the way they want at the time they're there, and that they're when they could focus on that and capture the opportunity while they're at the store, whether the store has an aggressive process with dealerships, because we see two camps right now. There are a lot of dealerships that have people that physically office on the service area and on the drive that only get paid on what they sell there. And for those very aggressive dealerships, they like the subtle text because it leads and it helps them get through to some customers that have been conditioned to give them the defensive. They know they're coming in, they do maintenance work there. It's not their first time being approached hardcore by sales in the drive. So it helps them break through the ice on some of those. And then a lot of the other camp is that it's really up to the sales reps' own initiative as to who's poaching the waiting room and the drive. And there's not a real structured process there. And so with those, you're letting so many slip through the cracks that would entertain an offer. And so I think that's in terms of where it's heading in the future. One is making sure we're consistently playing the numbers game and giving the offer to everyone that comes in. And number two, giving it to them in a more modern way that they prefer, that lets them control the process.
Charles, at Click-Ins, you're about to go through a very aggressive launch. Congratulations to you, Charles. How do you see the best way to communicate this effectively? What are your thoughts?
Communicate us launching in the U.S.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's the traditional methods, right? There's sales 101, reaching out to our contacts. I've been in the collision repair and claim space for 25 years now here in the U.S. And so reaching out to those contacts that I've made over the years, as well as hiring the right sales leader, which we've done, someone who has been in the dealership side of the business for 25 years now, and that announcement will be coming. There's also the traditional methods of attending trade shows. Will be a rental car trade show next week in Vegas, and spreading the word that way, as well as traditional press releases, and just really focusing heavily on business development and sales and reaching out to as many partners like are on this call as possible. One thing I've learned is in the U.S. and doing this, if you think you can go it alone, you're not thinking the proper way. It really takes partners like everyone that's on this call. I like to say a rising tide raises all ships. So we won't go at the sales effort alone. We'll be looking for partners like on this call for points of integration so that we can continue to assist the consumer and the dealerships. But we're fine if we're behind the scenes in the process, and we're fine if we're up front in the process. But I think partnerships are going to be key to what we're trying to accomplish.
Well, I think that's right on point, because you and Ron will be integrating and hitting, I don't know, thousands of customers, tens and thousands of customers every week to do an inspection.
Yeah, perfect example. You're exactly right.
Chris, I've never seen so much focus on those cash offers, okay, and the focus on the service drive and acquisition. Chris, what's going to be the best way to effectively communicate it? Because we're hearing so much about this right now, and your solution is very, very unique in what you do.
So yeah, there's several different ways that after the dealer curates and cultivates their own AI automated instant offer algorithm, their ability to publish that, and where they can go out there and have very strategic conversations with customers is there's a whole bunch of different places. We offer a instant cash offer widget they can put on their website that's branded for the dealer, so it doesn't pull the customer off of the dealer's website and put them on a marketplace someplace else. It is branded for the dealer, and it's meeting the customer where they're already at. We also there's a whole bunch of other places where the dealers, kind of like Anthony was describing earlier, where they can exclude certain cars that they don't want to market to. So if they're going to do data mining, there's some expense that's associated whenever you're going out there and talking to customers and trying to and communicating, whether it's SEM campaigns, social media campaigns. You only want to target the cars that you're going to have a higher degree of success with if you're going to go spend the money, and we help dealers do that. So the other places that you would see these instant offers are maybe QR codes and service drives. Like I said, social media posts, email campaigns. If you want customer for life campaigns, where you can do a cadence where every month they get an update, like Ron was describing, on the difference in their value of their car. That's something that we power. So if you want to publish an instant offer algorithm, we would be the people that you'd like to talk to, I think.
And Chris, the name of the company is
iOffer.io. is how you find us. And again, we connected through a lot of dealers directly, but mostly through strategic partners. And you'll find us powering large marketplaces and a lot of stuff with banks and stuff like that too. So
excellent, Chris. And Ron Morrison, I had heard of PureInfluencer, but I never quite knew exactly what you folks do. But Ron, you're in a fascinating space and would appear at a very good time, Ron.
Yeah, we are quite fortunate. We did the dance that Charles talked about, right? We partnered with other companies that helped us to grow from 0 to over 1,000 clients today. And as our name PureInfluencer suggests, what we do is we focus on opportunities that the store has, where we can help more of those opportunities. We can influence them to do business with our clients, right? And we see opportunities online. We see opportunities in leads. Like we're talking about here today, we see opportunities in vehicle exchange. What's kind of funny is listening to Mark, Charles, and Chris, and Anthony. It sounds to me, having helped some of the largest dealers in the country put in a vehicle exchange department, say 5-10 years ago, it sounds to me that even some of the very best vehicle exchange departments today look decades old compared to what Mark, Charles, and Chris are talking about, right? I mean, it's such a quantum leap. It's not like a minor improvement where you've got a store that's doing well with vehicle exchange and they make some minor behavioral process change and now they're doing 5% more. I mean, these guys are talking about automation that not only drives significantly more opportunities in acquisition, but also reduces friction, reduces process control, reduces breakdowns. So that's kind of cool. We're just happy to be a part of it. We believe also that if it's true that roughly 10 to 15% of all those customers that are coming through the service drive today are real acquisition opportunities, then we also believe it's true that 100% of them that left your store are opportunities, right? It's just the timing needs to be right. So we want to be able to be there for our dealer when Susie says, hey, it's time to sell my husband's Chevy Tahoe. And we want our dealer client to be top of mind and say, hey, where's that email? Where's Chris's latest offer price? And where's Charles' link? I'm going to go take pictures of that. And I'm going to show up to the store. And then with my car, Mark's going to also give me an insight. I mean, it's just mind boggling how it makes the best vehicle exchange department today almost look broken. So we're just happy to be part of this.
Ron, you're right. And Sara, these really are top companies to watch and keep our eye on in 2024, Sara.
This has really been an amazing panel, Ted. And Anthony, thank you for putting together these amazing rock stars that have so much knowledge and influence in our industry.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure to work with these guys and watch what they do.
Anthony Monteiro, everybody, a great friend of the Fixed Ops Roundtable for many years with Trust Monteiro, LLC. Thank you, Anthony, for putting together this panel on the top companies to watch in 2024. Chris Ross with iOffer.io, Charles Lukens with Click-Ins, Mark Queen from SKAIVISION, who we'll be hearing a lot more from here at the Roundtable this week, and of course, Ron Morrison from PureInfluencer. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of our panel today at the Roundtable.
Thank you.
Everybody, the top companies to watch in 2024 here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.